Nikita starts off this hour in Richmond, Virginia. Hi, Nikita. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Good afternoon, sir. So nice to meet you. How are you?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
Great. So I had a little bit of background. So my parents went through Financial Peace University, and I stumbled across their book from that class about 2 weeks ago and started listening to your show. As a result, I am in baby step 2. I do have quite a bit of student loan debt, a car loan, and about $6,000 remaining in credit cards. I would like to buy a house in the next 3 to 5 years. Knowing all of that, my question is, should I close credit cards that carry a zero balance even though they've been open for 7 to 10 years? And how does that affect my credit score, knowing that I'd like to buy a house at some point?
Okay, we're going to recommend you're debt-free and that you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses and you save your down payment to buy a house. Okay?
Okay.
So how much do you owe on your car? How much do you owe on your car?
$9,000.
Okay. What do you owe on your student loans?
$232,000.
Okay. You a doctor or a lawyer?
Yeah, a lawyer.
Okay, cool. How long you been out?
About 5 years.
Okay. What are you making?
$71,000.
After 5 years?
Yes, sir. I work for the government.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and tread out on the uncomfortable land of uncomfortable. You have $232,000. You need to not work for the government.
Okay.
Because you have the potential to make twice what you're making in your sleep. Don't you?
Sir.
Don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
the idea behind working for the government was that they would forgive the loan after 10 years. I'm about 3 years into that.
Yeah. So for 7 years, we're not going to buy a house? Because we're going to limp along? Nah. I would just change careers.
Okay.
And get out of debt in like 2 years. Well, it won't be 2.
That does make sense.
It wouldn't be 2.
Okay.
It'd be 3. But you'd be debt-free in 3 years. And, that's, so let me just back up for a second for other people that are listening, not just for you, but here's the decision-making paradigm that this 10-year debt forgiveness causes people to mess up on. I'm just going to talk about it right in front of you, Nikita, okay?
Sure.
You have the ability to make $150,000 a year. You're making $70,000, so that's $80,000 loss so that you can get debt forgiveness for 10 years. That's $800,000 you paid to pay off this $232,000. You see how I did that?
I never thought of it that way. Yes.
Yeah. That's what government subsidized crap causes people to do. That part of our brain dies when we sign up for this. And so that's what I don't want folks to do. Now, you're a few years into it. We're not just picking on you, but I had this call last hour. Another guy wanting to, work somewhere, work as a teacher 10 years and somewhere and be underpaid so that he could get his student loans forgiven. And that it wasn't because he had a calling to community service. He was just trying to get rid of the student loans. And so, so if I'm in your case, I'm going to go make $100,500 almost immediately, moving towards $200 and get this cleared up as fast as I can, be debt free. Now, back to your original question. There are 2 ways you can buy a home. A really, really good credit score, which is going to require that you play kissy face with the bank a lot and you pay everybody on time early and you have a lot of debt and you pay everybody on time and early, and you can, if you just work that and you pay them a lot of interest over time, you can build up a credit score. You probably have an excellent credit score right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is yours, 800?
Just under. I'm at 799.
Yeah. Well, you're paying a lot of interest. I mean, you're paying on the student loans, you're paying on the car, you've had the credit cards for 7 years. You talked about that, right? And so,
yes, sir.
Yeah, you've worked real hard at that, and you've given them a lot of money for that score. So you can either maintain that score and you get a house just, they won't even think about it. They'll just throw money at you for a house with a 780. I mean, they'll just give you money and sign you up for all kinds of wonderful things that you don't need. So, or you can have a 0 credit score, and you can qualify for a home using what's called manual underwriting. Now, a debt-free attorney that makes $180,000 a year and has a 0 credit score has no trouble getting a home loan.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, some mortgage companies are too stupid to know how to do that, but Churchill Mortgage and others that know how to do manual underwriting with a 0 credit score is that. So I would not worship at the altar of the great FICO. He is not your provider. He's been messing you over for years. And I instead would declare him a false god and run him off. And that would mean that I don't care what my credit score is. As a matter of fact, my goal is to systematically get rid of it, which the only way you have a 0 credit score is you've paid off every single thing and you have zero things reporting with a balance or open account of any kind on your credit report. And about 6 months later, they will declare you a non-human, a 0 credit score, which was one of the greatest honors of my life, was that they sent me an email and they said, we're so confused. Did you die? And I thought that was maybe a threat, but I wasn't sure. That, you know, they were really worried at FICO that I had that my credit score was indeterminable. I must have died. It'd be the only way that you don't participate in this. And it's like, man, that makes me redneck right there enough to want to get off the grid completely. But I definitely want to get off the credit grid. I'll just tell you that, because it's a treadmill. So all of that to say, I'd go double my income, get these debts paid off as fast as I could. Wouldn't worry about my credit score except to make sure that it is systematically being destroyed down to 0. And that would mean paying off those credit cards and closing the accounts, because your credit score will drop when you do that. And you've worked so hard on yours, it's going to take your breath away when it does that. But you have a goal of going to 0. That's what I would suggest you do. And now we'll see what you do, whether you want to play through or not. But I sure wouldn't trade $800,000 for $200. Sure wouldn't make that trade.